Hello, my name is Denzis. I'm the. Hello, my name is Denzis. This is my first video on here, and I'm not sure how I would start an intro because this is my first video on this YouTube account. So, let's just get straight into the topic of today's video. If I start looking off to the side, then I write it down, but. I want to get straight into the topic because it is my first video, but I want you to subscribe to me truthfully, and I'm not going to ask you to subscribe to me. I want you to subscribe to me through your own will or through you feeling that what I taught you or what I told you is useful to you. But let's jump straight into it. The first thing you want to focus on is your diet, because with your diet, is going to be the main factor. You can't have working out without having diet. If you're working out and you have a horrible diet, working out isn't really going to do anything for you. Now, let's say you're coming from a skinny side and you're wishing to build an aesthetic body, or you're coming from a fat side, which is like the more overweight side, which is where I came from, and you're still wishing to build an aesthetic body, still like the same golden up stance. I will teach you how to do all of that in today's video. And the main thing you want to make sure you have throughout this is patience, because without patience, you're going to give up too early. You're going to plateau. It's not going to really work out for you. So you want to make sure you have really good dedication, discipline, focus, and patience. 4 main things. And this isn't going to take 2 to 3 months. Sure, you'll start seeing some results around then, but it's mainly going to take 6 to 12 months to have somewhat of a change in your body, or actually have noticeable abs somewhat. It's going to take a fairly long time. Just stay dedicated throughout it and trust the process. When you're first starting self-improvement, it could be hard, and I know it's hard, but that's what I'm here for, and that's what this YouTube channel was created for. I want to help you improve yourself, because self-improvement is a massive step you take forward in your life, and you get rid of the drugs, the alcohol, everything else, and you take forward and you take responsibility and you start working on yourself. The first thing you want to make sure to do is accept yourself. You want to be able to know yourself and set accurate goals for yourself in your future and things you want to achieve. Setting goals could be amazing, because when you actually hit those goals, 1, you know you're making progress. It gives you a new motivation. 2, you feel really enjoyed about it, and it makes you want to continue in self-improvement. And 3, when you're setting new goals for yourself, you know you have to work harder, move smarter, think better. You know you have to do certain things that'll be uncomfortable, because comfort kills you. But things that'll make you uncomfortable and push you out there to improve yourself. And reaching your goals is basically just motivation to get there. And you need discipline to get the motivation to get there, basically. Now, if you're overweight, you want to cut. Now, if you're overweight, I want to say you do want to start a process which is called cutting. And cutting is where you burn more calories than you eat. So when you burn more calories than you eat, you're taking away more fat than your body is getting in or can produce. So you're losing weight, but you do want to gain muscle while you cut. And before we jump into this more, I do want to say, if you're planning on losing weight or you're trying to lose weight, don't starve yourself, because when you starve yourself, you're actually slowing down your metabolism, and it decreases your progress. It's not helping you in any type of way. So you don't want to starve yourself, really. If you don't know what your metabolism is, it's a process which the body breaks down and absorbs food and drinks, and it makes it into energy. But if your metabolism is faster, it'll do it way faster, and you'd have to eat more, or else you're going to be really skinny. And if it's slower, on the slower side, it's going to take more time. It's going to take more time for your metabolism to turn that into energy, and it's more likely to be stored as fat, which is why when you starve yourself and you slow it down, it is slowing down your progress, basically. Away from my Now, away from me and back to the topic of the video, you want to eat foods that are low in carbohydrates and high in protein. So foods like eggs, fish, and shellfish. You want to eat meat. You want to eat poultry. You also want to eat certain dairies. You want to eat non-starchy vegetables. Foods that are high in protein and low in carbohydrates, they make you full faster, and they get rid of all the extra fat and macros that's not needed in your meal, to make it easier to work out in a calorie deficit, and you'd have to burn less calories because you're eating food that has less calories, if you understand. Now, foods you do want to avoid are foods that are high in carbohydrates, like most breads, sodas. You want to avoid gummy candies, avoid French fries, donuts, canned food, and most processed foods. Really just cutting all of it out immediately, though, is not a good way, because you're going to, what is it called? You're going to come back to the foods. You're not going to be able to leave them for a long time. You're going to relapse on all the bad foods and bad habits, basically. So try to avoid foods that contain lots of sugars and artificial sweeteners, because they add lots of fats, basically, too. So avoid foods like that. But for the workout section, make sure you work out 3 to 4 times a week. And 3 to 4 times will create maybe a slower version than the next version I'm about to tell you. It's not really that different, but it's a incline in progress, but it's steady, and it's a decline in fat. But if you work out 4 to 5 times a week, it'll be a faster incline and a faster decline in fat and faster incline in progress. But it isn't very steady as 3 to 4 times a week, because you can hit plateaus a lot. You're going to be less motivated. You're going to use up all your energy way too fast, which is why I don't really suggest that. But if you have all the motivation, or you're coming out of a relationship and you really just want to do this right now, then I would suggest that, because it's more of an intense way to get it done. If you do that, though, and you're really overweight, you can end up with lots of excess skin and lots of plateaus on the way, which is what I just said. And that's why I went for the slow but steady way. It took me about 2 years. I would say about 2 years. Yeah, like 2.5 years to do this. Probably a little bit more. But I was experimenting because I knew I was young and I started young, so I could experiment to share my experience with you guys. You want to focus on doing lots of cardio. Like, you want to focus on jumping jacks, running, the Stairmaster, treadmills, things like that. You want to focus on lots of sweat activating movements. And you also want to build lots of muscle while you're losing fat. It's hard, but just try to increasingly lose fat while building muscle. It's not easy, but one of the best ways to do it, I would say, is make sure you're still training your muscles. Like, don't completely just avoid training them. Make sure you're still training your muscles, curls, squats, everything, while you're doing cardio too. So I would say, if you're working out 4 times a week, 2 days work out cardio, 2 days train arms, legs, shoulders, biceps, back, everything, or whatever. It doesn't matter. It does matter, but you guys get the gist of it. You don't also have to do it that exact way. When I was working out, it was about mid-COVID-19. I opted for calisthenics, so body weight movements, work, push-ups, sit-ups, everything you can think of in that category. Squats, just everything you can do by yourself with no equipment. I opted for that because it was in the middle of a pandemic, so I didn't have access to a gym at that time. I personally suggest calisthenics, but it's what works best for you and what works best around your time schedule. There is no specific way to tell which one is better. It's just your body type and really what'll get the job done better for you. Make sure you're getting a lot of sleep, 8+ hours of sleep every night. It rebuilds your testosterone and lots of other healthy chemicals inside of your body that'll help you lose weight. We'll go on testosterone more in another video so I can really prioritize it. But make sure you sleep a lot because it is important to get your rest. With working out, your muscles need time to rebuild too. So ice baths, everything that can rebuild yourself, basically. Now, if you're more on the skinnier and taller and lankier side, you want to bulk. And bulking is you're in a calorie surplus. So calorie surplus is the opposite of cutting. And you're eating more calories than you can burn in a day. There are 2 different types of bulking, and each bulking really doesn't matter on your body type. It matters on which you choose and which way you want to get it done. But the first type of bulking is clean bulking. And while you're clean bulking, you're eating around 500 extra calories than you burn, maybe a bit more. But if you're clean bulking, it's a steady increase in weight. After a long period of time, you start to see, well, you don't start to see, you just go up. It's slow notices and changes, but after a year or a year and a half, you will start to see more of an increase in your weight, and like it's cleaner. You have more muscle, and you mainly only get muscle. You don't have a lot of fat out of this bulking. So if you do want to have an extremely just clean build, like your muscles are just tight, everything is connected together perfectly. Well, that's genetics that can decide that, but it'll make it easier on your body if you do that. Less stretch marks if you're going for extremely aesthetic, but I suggest clean bulking for that. The second type of bulking is dirty bulking, and it's basically just eating whatever you want. The calorie surplus is random. I can't tell you pinpointly. It's just a lot more calories than you can really burn in a day. When you're bulking or when you're dirty bulking, I will warn you, you're gonna gain a lot of fat. And if you're just doing it normally, you're probably gonna gain around the same amount of fat as you are muscle, maybe more fat. So I'm dirty bulking right now because I just want to build a little bit more muscle, but I really wouldn't suggest it if you're not extremely skinny, or if you're only gonna do it if you're planning to bulk for a long period of time, which I'm not. I'm only planning to bulk for about like 3 to 6 months. So that would be the only time I would suggest dirty bulking. Now, let's say you really do want to dirty bulk, but you don't want to gain a lot of fat. I would suggest training and lifting heavy. So calisthenics isn't an option really ever for bulking, but lifting heavy would be your best choice for this. A lot. Like training 5 to 6 times a week if you're going to dirty bulk, I would say, without wanting all the extra fat categories, because then you're going to gain a lot of muscle, and then you're going to eat a lot. You're going to need to eat a lot because now you're really destroying your muscles, and now you need a lot more calories for them because you're lifting heavy or strength training, and that'll be really the way to go if you want a dirty bulk without getting so much fat on you. And another thing I would say, only do this if you are like dirty bulking, extreme dirty bulking, so like 6,000 to 7,000 calories a day, more 600-pound life type shit I've been on. I would suggest that if you're under 100 pounds. It's really just an amazing way to put on mass and like have a better starting point to start at. But that's really all I have in today's video. This is my first video on here, and I'm speaking from experience, but I'm giving you my experience as a seed, and I hope it sprouts into more knowledge than I can ever give you on this channel. Join me on my journey and tune in for my next videos. Goodbye, friends. But first, I also want to remind you, this is my first video, so I'm not going to ask you to subscribe. I want you to subscribe to me truthfully, and when you feel that you want to subscribe. So let's start off first. Your diet. If I just start looking off to the side. To jump in, make sure you know your body. So make sure you know when you jump into self-improvement, it's a massive step you could take forward in your life. Like when I jumped into it, or